Greetings, humans. In this video, we're going to cover creating dummy accounts. So we're going to generate some random dummy accounts and save them to a spreadsheet so that we can use them later on. So the goals for this video are to create dummy account data for users for user sign up info. So basically this is going to be the first step. The second step is going to be using these users to sign up for services like Craigslist and that sort of stuff. So we're going to create the dummy users, and then we're going to create cPanel email accounts for each user. So let's go ahead and begin. And keep in mind that the Mindomo mind map that I'm building for all of the Ubot Studio tutorials will be accessible. And so, as you can see, the video along with the title and any notes that relate will be available. And so, just keep that in mind. Okay, so first thing I'll do is save. Actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and, no, I'm not going to put this on the WordPress spot. I'm going to save this as a new bot. So, first thing that we're going to do is create a loop, because we want to do this a certain number of times. So actually, the first thing that I'm going to do is make a text box. So I want to make a text box so that we can put how many of the users to generate. Okay. And so now we will be able to see, we will be able to set how many we want. So next, let's go ahead and make a loop. And the number of cycles will be the user total. And let's see. So what we want to do is, through each iteration, create another user. And so let's see here. For the users, let's create full name, Actually, let's break it up. Let's make first name, last name, email address. Let's make a username, password. Each one of these people are also going to need a phone number, but we're not going to generate a phone number because we're going to use Twilio in order to create the phone number. So let's see, what else do we want? I mean, we can do city, state, zip, maybe even a street. Let's do a street. Okay. So that looks like pretty good account information. We can pretty much use all of this to create accounts on just about anything, right? So let's go ahead and start. So the first thing I'm going to do is create the variables. And we're going to use the account data parameter. Select the first name. Okay. And let's put a wait for a second. Last name. Username. So for the email address, we're going to combine the username we just created along with let's see, the domain that I'm going to use is going to be onoff.me. So let's do username at onoff.me. Make sure we put our weight in there. And then what else do we need? Password, street, city, state, zip. So for the password, so a couple different ways. Well, let's generate a new password for each agent. So street, city, state. So for the street, let's do actually, let's not do a street. Well, let's do the city, state, zip. Let's not do a street. We'll do that later. Now we could just as easily make them all the same city and state if we wanted to. But I'm going to go ahead and make them all unique. Now, one thing that I want to point out is that for each account that's generated, all of the data will match up. So the city and state will not be erroneous. For example, it will never be like Cincinnati, Washington. Okay, that's not going to happen, because for each time an account is generated, everything matches up. And so when we reset the account at the end, it's at that point that the city and state and all the other account information will change. Zip. So city, state, zip, all of this will match up. Okay. And then so let's just go ahead and test this out. So I'm just going to put 1 in here. And so we see the user total is 1, and if I run this node, so there's the first name, last name, username, email address, password, city, state, zip. Bam. Perfect. So now what we're going to do is take all of that information and put it into a table as a row. So we're going to add list to table as row. Let's try this one. And the table is going to be, let's call it dummy users. The starting row is going to be, oh, yeah, sorry. So let's go ahead and set, we have to create a loop controller. Started at 0 because the first cell of the first row of an array is 0. So we want it to start there. So the starting row is going to be the loop controller. Okay. Starting column is going to be 0. And the list to add. Now in here we're going to do list from text. Okay. And then the text is going to be in our variables. So we're going to start with first name, comma, last name, comma, username, comma, password, comma, city, comma, state, comma, zip. And so now the delimiter is going to be comma. Okay, perfect. So now so we have dummy users. Let's go ahead and run this node. Okay, I know what I should do. Let's first create lists. Let's first create a list. Yeah, let's add list to list. Let's do that. Let's add list to list. So the starting list is going to be this. Let me see. The starting list, the list to add. So the starting list is going to be the list we are starting with. The list to add is going to be a list. So the starting list is going to be dummy users. The list to add is going to be list from text. The text is going to be let me just copy this. The text is going to be right here. Comma. Yep, perfect. Okay. All right, so now let's try this. Add list to list. So now we've got 7 items in this list. It's all of our information. Now what we're going to do is, instead of adding this list to list like this list to the table is row like this, we just select dummy users. Okay. And now dummy users. Conversion from string to type integers. Oh, okay. I know what the problem is. I never executed the loop controller value. So now that we have a loop controller, now watch. Bing. It would have worked before. But so that's, you have to pay attention. See? I had created my loop controller, but I did not run it. So I didn't have my value right there. So it didn't know where to put the row at. It didn't know where to start because my starting row is loop controller, but it had no value. So anyway, now that we have that value, so now we have, technically I could have, let's just try this again. Let's try this the way I had it before, just to see if it works. So it was list from text. Yeah, I'm gonna, to make this go faster, what I'll do is I'll get rid of this. List from text. That way we get it down to 1 command instead of 2 commands. And just so you know, I'm going back and forth from node to code view because it's much faster to just copy and paste the code than to recreate those nodes. So now let's try it. So first of all, I'm going to copy this and delete it. And actually, let's go ahead and clear this. Let's generate one and run it. And we should get dummy users in our table. I forgot the controller again. Stop script. Let me run the controller. Now we got our 0. Let's come here and run this. Told you. There we go. So now all the data is in there. Okay. So we don't need to have that other command, that extra command to put it in the list first. So now that we have all of our data into the list, let's go ahead and reset account data. We'll set it for any gender, but we could set it for male, female, whatever we want. But I'm gonna keep it at any. Okay. Then let's clear all of our variables. So I think that actually I don't think that we're going to need to reset that because we're putting the names, we're putting this data directly into the variables, so we don't need to reset the variables. We reset the account data. Oh, we need to increment. We need to increment our controller. And let's put one more weight in here. And so now it's going to keep doing that for 10 iterations. So once it finishes doing that, so now we need to know where do we want to save this at. So save file. Okay, so now we have a CS place to save the file, so we'll go ahead and save it. Save to file. And the location, save as, is going to come from the save CSV variable. The content to save is going to be the dummy users table. Now, I'll just rename this to generate dummy users, user accounts. Okay, perfect. So now let's go ahead and run this. So we want to make 10, and we're going to save this file. So we're going to name it agent dummy accounts.csv. So you see we have that stored here. And so now I'll go ahead and just hit the run button. And we can see, I'm going to stop it. Let me stop it. I'm going to clear all the variables. Because what I want to do is show as it's going through. So let me open that up. So I'll put the 10, and this is going to go here. CSV and run. So now hit the loop. User total is 10, loop controller 0. And you'll see that loop controller keep going up by 1. See, so now it's at loop controller 1. And so that means that it's going to put the data onto the second row of the table. There we have it, which is the first, the number 1 second row. Column 2, row 1. The second column is number 1. The second row is number 1 on forth. And that's it. So you see that the run button is now a solid green. We can see that user total 10, loop controller 10. We've got 10 rows inside of our table. Let's go ahead and check our CSV. In fact, instead of, let's see here, I'll just go to Documents, Ubot Studio, Projects, Spots. So here's our dummy accounts.csv. I don't have like a Microsoft Windows or anything. I mean, not Windows, but Microsoft Word or anything like that. So let's just open it up in Google Sheets. I only use Google Sheets. I don't know why I did it that way. I was supposed to do a file upload. So now we've got that open. So here you can see there's our data. So now we can use this data. In the next video, we'll use this data to create email addresses at, where's the email addresses at? You know, I think we forgot to put the email addresses in here. Yeah, we sure did. We sure did. So let's see. In order to chuck the email address in here, the only thing we have to do is not edit this. Edit our list from text, and we're missing email address. So we can put it maybe after the username. We'll put a comma. So now let's do it again. There's email address. And there it is inside of there. And so now let's just go ahead and open it up. So there we have it. So now we have the, as you can see, it's that simple to chuck the data in. So here's the email address right here. And you see that it's structured the way we intended. With the email, with the username at owneroff.me. So all of that is now ready. In the next video, we'll pass this data over to, we'll use this data to create the actual email address, and then we'll begin creating accounts on Craigslist and other popular websites.